Welcome to the UNSECURITY podcast. Each week, Evan and Brad give an inside look at current information security news, breaches, best practices, and other things you should know to improve your information security. Here are your hosts, FR Secure's Evan Francine and Brad Nye.
Hi, everyone. This is Evan Francine, your host for episode 34 of the UNSECURITY podcast. Joining me is my right-hand man, Brad Nye. Good afternoon, Brad.
Good afternoon, Evan.
How are you?
Tired. I'm ready for the weekend.
I know, you and me both. So if you're paying attention to the opening, you might have heard the word afternoon and not morning. We normally record these on Monday mornings.
Right.
It's Friday afternoon.
It's bright. It's light out. It's weird.
It is light out.
There's people here.
There's people here. All right. And because we're not going to be here on Monday.
No.
Next week is July 4th. It's the birthday of America.
Yes.
God bless America. There was a moment of silence there. All right. All right. So it is Friday afternoon. You're supposed to spew some wisdom according to the show notes. Do you have any wisdom to spew?
Quit getting.
No wisdom to spew.
I'm going to save my fiery riledness up.
Later on.
Riled upness.
Huh?
Riled upness? I don't know.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm making up words now.
Well, Fridays are interesting days because, especially at the end of the quarter, right? This is the last day of the quarter. Just walking in, I heard the salespeople were celebrating another client, and it's that kind of day. So we could share our vacation plans, but that would be against best practice.
I can share mine. I'm going to be working an IR.
Incident response.
Yeah. Yay.
I'm gonna get
My wife's thrilled.
Yeah, I bet she is. I'm going to get some riding in.
That's nice.
Killing bugs is what I call it.
Bring floss. Yeah,
you can tell a happy bike rider, right? By how many bugs they have in their teeth. All right. So you're supposed to spew some more wisdom, and then we're moving right in. So a couple of weeks ago, we talked about ASCO, the Belgian aircraft parts manufacturer, got hit by ransomware, right? Yeah. We had a good discussion about that. That was episode 32. Mm-hmm. And we were sort of asked to talk about that by one of our listeners,
that was a great suggestion.
It was, and it was a good talk. So then last week, between then and the next week, we see additional ransomware attacks. And one of them that sort of caught my attention was the Riviera Beach ransomware attack. And that one really twisted my, what do you call it? Torqued. I was torqued. I was twisted. I was mad, pissed,
torqued off,
ticked off. Yeah. Because Riviera Beach voted to pay the ransom. Mm-hmm. Now they were hit with their ransomware on May 29th. June 20th is when they voted unanimously to pay the ransom.
Right.
And we talked about that and how that also, well, like I said, it ticks me off. And so we wrote one of the things we talked about after that breach was how we were going to go talk to our cities, right?
Yep.
I live in the city of Waconia. You live in the city of Victoria. Mm-hmm. And so I wrote a blog post after that and essentially gave a letter template, right? This is the letter that I sent. And I wanted, and the important part about all of this is to be courteous, to be kind.
Right.
But I, as a citizen, I have a right to know how you're protecting this data so that I don't have to pay.
Right. I think it's kind of like twofold, right? As a citizen, hey, where are the protections? And then as a security professional to alert them, hey, were you aware?
Yeah.
This is going on.
And even offering some help, right? If you need some help, I can help you.
Yeah, we'll do whatever.
I won't charge you. I mean, it's my city. It's where I live.
It's cheaper to help them than have them pay a ransom.
Right. Well, and so the city of Riviera Beach, they paid the ransom, but, then they claim that, well, they only had to pay the deductible,
right.
The $10,000 deductible. And it's like, okay.
You're missing the point.
Yeah, you're totally missing the point because that's $600,000 that the attackers have that they can reinvest, and plus the fact that we're all going to end up paying
right
in the long run.
Right.
So that was that. So I wrote that blog post. And really the point is you're not powerless. Anybody, you don't have to be a security person to inquire. If you go to my blog, evanfrancine.com, you'll see there's a blog post there. It's called Ask Questions, Get Answers.
Yep. Hopefully, exactly. And there there's some tips on, how to reach out to your local government, city and county. Now, I think affecting things at the state level, affecting things at the federal level, we are sort of powerless to that, right? I mean, it's not close enough to us where we can really affect too much change as an individual. But I think it starts rolling up.
It should, right? I mean, that's the point. Because I know every time I read about one of these breaches, I hear lots of people complain about it. Lots of people, and I hate, people don't like the word, but a lot of people bitch about it. Mm-hmm. But few people do anything.
Right.
And so this was a blog post to get you to do something. So we discussed reaching out to our local government officials in the last episode. I gave instructions in that blog post, including that email template. Some people, it was cool to see, had actually reached out to their local governments and told us about it.
Yeah, we started getting feedback.
Yeah.
It's great.
And even today I was talking to our, what's Peter's job title?
That's a great question.
Director. Director of something?
Director of Operations and something.
So, yeah, he directs something.
Yeah.
And so I asked him, where do you live? And he's like, well, Eden Prairie. And I'm like, did you email Eden Prairie? Well, no. Well, get on it.
Right.
I mean, come on. Why do we... So part of my frustration and part of this episode is I wonder how much people really want to be secure. How many people, we like to complain, we like to play the victim, but how many of us actually care to do something about it? I mean,
even as simple as emailing a form, right? You just have to fill in the blanks and send it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how to make it any easier for people. And so, so the good was we did get some people who did email their cities, and some of them got good responses. One in particular was the city of Sartell, gave a great response.
Awesome.
I reviewed it and I was like, man, dead on. That's awesome. So then, the person who had emailed the city gets reassurance that yes, my city is doing the right thing. I can feel proud of that. Other cities, like I emailed my city and have yet to receive a response. Did you get a response to yours?
I did. I got a response that day to, hey, I live in the same neighborhood. Stop by. We'll talk.
Okay. So you guys can do that
I
soon?
Just haven't had time.
Well, you got a some response that you're working on.
But yeah, I got a response right away, and it was a good answer. It's like, I think this is more complex than just simply an email response. I'd love to sit and talk with you about it.
Yeah.
Hey, that's awesome.
It is awesome because it starts with that dialogue, right? Mm-hmm. Rather than burying our heads in the sand and just hoping that we're not going to be the next city or the next company that gets hit with ransomware, we're actually going to have a discussion about it.
And honestly, I mean, I wouldn't be thrilled if they have nothing, but the fact that it wasn't like ignored, and we'll see how it goes. But if they have nothing and, hey, we don't have anything, but what should we be doing? Mm-hmm. That's a win. Right. We're going the right direction. We've got that dialogue going.
And I think, to your point, I mean, having the discussion is a win. Mm-hmm. And if it's bad, well, then now you know it's bad. Now we can start our discussion there and actually work on putting something in place.
Right.
If it's great, well, then great. We just confirmed it.
Yeah.
And I can sleep a little bit easier at night knowing that my city actually takes information security seriously.
Right.
And many of these things. So the frustration with ransomware in particular is no matter what I do, it's not 100. I can't 100% protect myself from getting infected, getting hit with ransomware, but I can 100% protect myself from having to pay the ransomware. And that's the frustration. It's a sure thing. If you take the right steps, you can 100% guarantee you're not going to have to pay the ransom.
Right. There might be some lost data.
Oh, sure.
But it's better than paying, $600, $400, whatever, $100,000s of dollars.
Right. And so you can talk about like the city of Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
They got hit. They didn't pay the ransom.
Nope.
And now what's the bill? $12 million? Something like that.
Something like that. 12 to 18, somewhere in there.
Yeah. So they're paying a ton of money. So they didn't prepare, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, you didn't prepare well. You might have had some things in place, but overall, it should not have cost you $12 million to have to recover from a ransomware attack.
Right.
So the theory is if you reach out to your city and they're not doing the things that they should do, that we can help.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say we, I mean the community. I'm not saying FR Secure. I'm not saying Security Studio. I'm saying we can give them some good advice.
Yeah.
You know, I created this ransomware readiness assessment back in 2017 that we used at a bank. I forgot that I created it, and I even posted that on the blog. Right, start there.
Yeah, that and the Crest.
Yeah,
tool. I mean, those are good tools.
Right. They don't cost you a dime.
No.
So if I'm the city, it's a no loss situation, I guess, to respond. So if you get, I guess the call to action in this podcast and the call to action on the blog is to email your city, ask them how they're protecting the city from ransomware.
Yeah.
And not doing that, not participating, that's the part I'm struggling with. People that decide that they're not going to do something and instead they may just complain, or are they just going to play the victim and they don't care?
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, people don't want to ruffle feathers, and they're like, well, so jumping ahead a little bit, like the Lake City.
Right.
It's like, I never thought this would happen to us. We're small.
Yeah.
How many people have that thought process? It doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah, when I read that one, and that was the mayor, right? The mayor said, I just never thought. I mean, not in my wildest dreams did I ever think that this would happen to us.
Right.
Everybody thinks that.
Right. They're going to go after the big fish. No, they're going to go after the easy targets.
Well, they're going to go after, anybody. They don't discriminate.
No. And the bigger places have all the kind of the easy, low-hanging fruit typically buttoned up.
Right.
So what are they looking for? Those low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
And it's the people who go, we don't need that. We're not a target, so we're not going to do these fundamental things. And guess what?
Right. And these things, it's funny because backups aren't anything new, are they?
Backups?
Yeah.
I mean, no.
We've been preaching backups since forever, right? It used to be to protect yourself against, hardware that was flaky.
Right.
Hard drives were expensive and, stuff like that. But now, I mean, it's the same protection.
Right. Right. It buys you that assurance that if something happens, regardless of what it is, you're going to be able to recover.
Right. And so you have that backup. You adequately protect that backup. We used to do it physically. We used to do it on tape.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd store the tape a far enough distance away so that a natural disaster that hit the main site wouldn't affect your tapes.
Mm-hmm.
Same sort of thing applies. It's just an illogical.
Yeah. It's a virtual tape library now. Same thing, just
and it's got to be
disk.
Yeah, right. So anyway, so you mentioned the Salt Lake. I'm sorry, not the Salt Lake. The Lake City, Florida. They voted also to pay a ransom. Yay. And there was so I wrote another blog post, right? Mm-hmm. So I did some blogging this week just because it really frustrates me when there's something that's so obvious that we can address, yet we don't. And I still wonder, and I don't know, we don't have the data, but how many cities are still, prone to this? Because they are under attack. Attackers know just as well as we do, if not more, that, hey, cities are a pretty easy target. Right. Let's keep going after cities.
Right. They're underfunded. They don't have the resources.
Yeah.
But they have all the sensitive information.
Well, right. And you don't need the resources.
Right.
That's the crazy, you just don't need a lot of resources. So yeah, the quote of the day from that breach, or from that ransomware, which, is a breach, the Lake City, Florida, the mayor, Stephen Witt, God bless him. He says, I would have never dreamed this could have happened, especially in a small town like this. Now, small town, put that into context, it's about 12,000 residents, so not that small. Waconia is about that size. What size is your city?
A little bit smaller, 7,000 or 8,000.
Yeah. So the fact that he could have never dreamed, it's like, are you not? I don't know. That's more of I guess I kind of view that more as a failure on our part because somehow we haven't reached him. Somehow we haven't gotten the message out. So
right.
Therefore, even more reason to send an email and inquire about these things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I liked your points on there.
Well, on that
the
blog
start
post.
here, yeah.
Yeah, and
it's not hard.
It's really not. And we need people, like, it doesn't mean the same thing if I email Minneapolis.
No, it needs to be somebody who lives there.
Right. I'm not a resident of Minneapolis. So, it means a lot more to city officials when it comes from a resident that they actually answer to.
Right.
So then that led to another blog post. Like I said, in that blog post on evanfrancine.com is call to action, do something about Civic Ransomware. Now I highlight the point again, and then I say, do something, start here. And here's what I'm asking you to do. So listeners, this is what I'm asking you to do. And I think it's all reasonable because it's your city. It's your tax dollars.
Oh, yeah.
It's not mine. So asking to do these things it's almost like a civic duty.
Right.
Unless you like criminals stealing your money. I mean, is that what we're at now? Or we like this, go ahead, take my money.
Put your head in the sand because insurance is going to cover it.
That's what, and that's why I struggle so much to get my head around like the logic, because there isn't any. So anyway, here's the things that I'm asking you to do. One, if you haven't emailed your city or county government officials inquiring about ransomware readiness, please do it.
Yeah.
And I give you an email template that you can use, or use your own. You don't have to use mine, but just email them, ask. Do it and then the next, if you have emailed your city and or county government officials, but haven't received a response in a few days, email again. That's exactly what I plan on doing.
Mm-hmm.
Now I emailed the city administrator. You emailed the mayor.
Yep.
You got a response. Mm-hmm. Maybe my next email will just be to the mayor. It's not a big deal. And it's not to throw the city administrator under the bus. I just need an answer so I can help. So be tenacious, but in a good way, right? Stay
persistent.
Persistent. There you go. Determined. And if you emailed your city or county government officials, and have received a response, we'd love to see it. What I would suggest you don't do is publicize the response. You don't want to, post it on a website somewhere. But if you feel comfortable sharing it with us at the Unsecurity Podcast, share it with us at unsecurity@protonmail.com. We won't out you. We won't out the city. We won't out anything. It'd just be interesting to see what the responses are that are coming so we can get more of a feel of what's actually happening on the city level, on the county level with this stuff. So those are the things I'm asking you to do. And no matter what you do, these are the simple rules. And again, this is all on the blog. Always be courteous. Mm-hmm. Always be respectful. Do help if you can. And remember the goal. We're trying to help, and we're trying to prevent more occurrences of Atlanta, Baltimore, Riviera Beach, Lake City, you name it. We're trying to help.
Right.
This is a problem.
It's only going to get worse.
It really is, man. I mean, God. Anyway, do ask questions. Ask us questions if you have questions, and make suggestions. If there's something you don't like about this, let us know.
Right.
We don't know everything, and we're in this together at the end of the day. Don't try to answer questions that you don't feel or know you're not qualified to answer. Again, you can email us at unsecurity@protonmail.com. If we don't know the answer, we can certainly point you in the right direction, and we can find an answer together. And don't use threatening language or insinuate threats of any kind. That's all in that blog post.
Yeah. Threatening government doesn't typically go well.
Well, right. And that's not the point, right? It's counter to what we're trying to do. We actually are trying to help cities and counties protect themselves from ransomware. And then in that same blog post is the email template itself. It's pretty straightforward. I assume that most people can read, so it's there.
Yeah.
But we do need to start fighting back. And I don't know of anybody else who's kind of trying to do this. So if you know somebody else who's trying to do the same thing that we're trying to do, put us in touch. Let's work together, right?
Absolutely.
This isn't about making a name for ourselves. It's really pissing me off that cities are paying ransoms. And
then not just cities, but then schools and colleges and these other, kind of in the same vein.
Right. So to that point, one of the things that I had done too earlier this week is I emailed one of our local news stations, and I'm like, hey, how can we spread the word, right? There's nothing to sell here. We have, I don't know how many cities in the state of Minnesota, how many cities are in your viewing area, how many listeners, or how many, viewers that should email. And it's okay if multiple people email the same city, right? I mean, it's not like
I think it's good because then people in charge say, oh,
this is a real thing.
Yeah. People are interested in this and we should focus on it.
Right. So I thought it was a great, story. It was declined, which isn't surprising. I mean, they have their content meetings, but it was sort of surprising because it's like, this is a big problem. I had cited, all the news, articles about this, and like, we got to get ahead of this unless we just wait again for another damn city to fall victim. And then it's like, okay, well, look, poor XYZ city and anonymous state.
They'll come back to you when a city in the viewing area is hit. And now it's like, it's so reactive.
I hate that, man. So my reply back to them was, okay, I'd expect the next one to hit within a week. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we read another story this week of a city that gets hit. I said, cities are under siege right now. Have a great weekend and 4th of July. And that was it.
Yeah, I'd be willing to bet we were talking about this on the next podcast, another city.
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, we have to. If people aren't doing anything.
Well, I'm saying there's going to be a new one between now and our next podcast.
Yeah, I agree. So all that leads us to now the good. There were good people who did want to help, who did email their cities, and that's just awesome. I do think at what point do we make information security sort of a civic duty? At what point do we expect everybody to participate in information security rather than pointing fingers, rather than playing the victim, rather than just bitching and complaining? At what point do people actually assume some responsibility in this mess that we've got ourselves in? That's my frustration. So the good is we had some people who did it. The bad is most people didn't. Most people listen. Most people maybe read it, maybe just skim over it. But as soon as you ask them to do something, they're like, I'm out.
Right. Well, it's like when you were at the conference, everybody's nodding their head in agreement, and you said, well, how many are doing it? And like, nobody raised their hand.
And then it's
like, yeah, that's a great idea. Well, let's do it. No, I'm good.
That requires work.
That sounds hard. Where's my easy button?
Oh my God. So that's my frustration. And that's kind of the point of the podcast. It's, do people even want to be secure? I mean, what has to happen? What has to hurt?
See, I think, yes, they do, but they want someone else to do it for them, right?
And it just can't.
No.
I just can't secure your family. I'm sorry. I can't stop you from putting Alexa in your living room. I can't stop you from buying that refrigerator that's going to order milk for you. I just can't stop that stuff. You have to take responsibility yourself. It's your security, not mine. And the thing that ticks me off is if you don't take security seriously, it affects me, which then it becomes personal. And it really pisses me off because now the attackers, now your systems are part of a botnet that are,
Well, and talking about personal, we had 3 incidents come in Wednesday. Went through, completely disrupts everything, right? It's already busy. Go through triage. We identify, you've got somebody actively in. Here's what's going on. They all said, oh, okay, well, that's good. I think we'll handle it ourselves. So you didn't know for how long?
Right.
And now you can handle it? Like, there's that attitude of, oh, okay, well, we don't need your help either. And
I don't know. I mean,
okay, fine, but it's disruptive to them, to their to their organization, whatever it is, to their, in this case, there were students or customers or whatever it may be. And then what happens when, we get shut down. Now there's cost. It's going to be higher than it was.
But then they still don't care.
And then,
I mean, what does it take?
I don't know.
I don't know either, man. I guess that's the $1 trillion question, right?
I think somebody's got to get fired, right?
I just read last week that the United States is the #1 source of human trafficking in the world. And you know how much the United States government, I can't remember the exact number, but I'm going to guess, I'm going to try to remember it. How much the U.S. government, the Department of Justice funded organizations. It was
not much.
No, it was like 16 million or something like that. It was like, that's not even a drop in the bucket. And you're talking about human beings that are trafficked like eggs, like bread.
Right.
I mean,
it's nuts.
It's crazy. So anyway, this ransomware thing, if your city gets hit and if you heard this or you read this,
right,
and your city gets hit, it's on you, man.
Yeah.
It really is.
You had the opportunity to at least start a dialogue, to start something, and perhaps fend it off, or at least get it prepared to be less disruptive.
Right.
And if you don't do anything, you got to look in the mirror.
Well, for sure. And so, and to kind of qualify all of this, I'm not saying that you can prevent all breaches from happening. You can't prevent all bad things from happening. But in terms of ransomware, you can 100% prevent having to pay a ransom.
Correct. And you can absolutely minimize the impact of it.
Right. With some
how long are you down? How long does it take to come back up?
With some simple hygiene best practices, right? I mean, it's not rocket science.
No.
It requires a little bit of discipline, a little bit of forethought, but to be to be in a position like this, this mayor of Lake City, that's our job, man. It's my job. The fact that the mayor didn't know,
right,
that means somebody in security, somebody who does know, never told him.
Right.
And that pisses me off because you're complicit.
Yeah,
in my mind.
Well, and I think you're right. There's plenty of blame to go around. Right? Like, how do we communicate with, as you say, the normal people, air quotes, so that they understand this? It
requires us
a
to
skill,
right? And when it requires us to get off our ass.
Well, that too.
I actually have to get up or maybe type an email, click send. Oh my God, what will they think?
My thought was, I don't care.
Right.
If I piss them off, okay.
Well, exactly. And
I have a stake in this.
Well, there's that. And the fact that you got pissed off at something that was not piss offable, right? My email was courteous. My email was kind. I'm trying to help you. And if you're pissed off about that, that's on you too. That's not on me. I'll sleep fine.
Right.
I did what I could.
I'm just asking a legitimate question.
Right. So anyway, I guess the call to action is still a call to action. We need to do something about this.
Yes.
It breaks my heart to see, these cities being offline. I mean, you take just Riviera Beach, right? May 29th to June 20th.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if the payment actually worked on the ransomware. Let's hope it did.
Right. Yeah. They haven't announced any further details.
So, $600,000 gone. What could I have spent that money on? I mean, I could have spent that money on all kinds of things. Mental health facility, some kind of outreach, a food shelf. I mean,
education,
homeless shelter.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's so many things that could have gone towards.
Instead, you paid some jackass in another part of the world that does nothing but prey on others.
Right.
And that's kind of the onus. I mean, really, when you think about the onus of why FR Secure exists and why Security Studio exists, it's all because of this. Not this, but I hate people taking advantage of other people. I absolutely hate it. Especially when I know that there's something we can do about it.
Right. Right. And it's not always, it's easy to see it and understand it. It's hard work.
Right.
Right. But it's not a hard concept.
Well, how long did it take for you to send your email?
Minute.
Right.
I think I had to look up find his email address and send it. It was a minute or two.
Okay, so it took a whole minute.
Yeah.
Of your day, and I know how many hours you worked this last week because you told me.
Yeah.
So you worked like 90 hours this week.
Yes.
And you got a family with 3 children. You got a lot of stuff going on. And you found
worth it.
And you found a minute in your day to email the mayor.
Yeah. How can you not, though?
Right. So, I mean, most listeners, I don't know what the average hours are. Say they're 40.
Right.
The average person works 40 hours a week, Brad works twice that this week, and he found a minute to email, and you can't. I mean, I don't get it, man. It just drives me nuts.
Yeah.
So that leads me back to that question. Do people even want to be secure? It's politically correct to say, oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. Again, I care about my
I'm going to go
safety.
Yeah, they do, as long as they don't have to do anything, right?
Nuts.
Well, I pay for, credit cards, right? They should be keeping my stuff secure, right. Or the government for taxes, for tax fraud. They should be keeping it secure. I shouldn't have to do anything.
Somebody else should do it for me.
Which is
okay. So then
frustrating.
So then going back, because I like your answer, but I think it's like a politician's answer, right? Do you really want to be secure is a yes or no answer. Right?
Oh, I agree. And I think
everybody will say yes, but their actions show no.
It's yes unless I have to do something.
But as soon as you put the unless in there, it becomes
I
no,
agree.
Right?
I'm with you. We're on the same page. I think you're right. It's, well, yeah, do I have to do something? I'll just live with it.
Well, then the answer is no.
Right. Exactly.
So then you're a victim. We should take away.
Well, then they get to complain.
We should take away your computer. We should take away your smartphone. We should take away everything that's connected to anything that can affect me, because your crap is going to get attacked and it's going to be used to attack me.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way, isn't that what the world we live in?
Look at the botnets with IoT and all that are just growing. Millions of devices.
Yeah.
We've seen them take things down.
And you got to get this serious, right? I mean, this is where we need to go. The good people need to go to a point where, yes, we are actually going to take it seriously. Mm-hmm. The answer is yes. And we will do whatever it takes to do it right. And so what is do it right? Well, then find out what do it right is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you have to start with I do want to, and so I'm telling you right now, as a 25-year information security expert and sitting across from another 20-year, we got 45 years of experience right here, right now, telling you absolutely the right thing to do is to email your mayor, your city administrator, and your county and ask them how they're protecting your city against ransomware.
Yeah, just 5 minutes.
So if the answer so going back to the logic, if the answer is, do you even care about security? And if your answer is yes, then do that.
Do it. Yeah.
If you don't, I question the fact whether you even care.
I care if I don't have to do anything.
But there you go.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
so you'd be better for office than
no way. Oh, well, no.
I wouldn't last 5 minutes in public office because I'm such a.
Oh, I wouldn't. I would never want to do that. No. I'm just giving you the answer that you would hear. Right?
Yeah.
That's not my answer.
No, I know. Right. I know that for sure. So you emailed. Right. I mean, and you work 90 hours dedicating your life. Really, both of us dedicate our life to trying to help people secure their information. Mm-hmm. Money has always been secondary for us. We can both make more money in other places. We have this passion because we hate seeing people getting taken advantage of, and I will do whatever it takes to fix it.
I go home at the end of the day, at the end of the week, and I can go and rest easy because I feel like I really helped someone or I made a positive difference.
Right.
Like, that's the whole point.
Exactly.
It's not worth cash. It's not about cashing a big paycheck.
Well, you know that those things will eventually come anyway. I mean, the theory is if you focus on the mission, money comes. If you focus on the money, mission never comes.
Oh.
So.
Yeah, do it right and things take care of itself.
So, again, listeners, you have no excuse if you really care. And if you don't care, you should really turn off every piece of electronic equipment you have anywhere in your house. Go live in the hills somewhere.
Right.
And just get away from, because you're a danger to everybody else. Truly. I mean, isn't that the truth?
I mean, you're a potential
danger to everybody else.
Risk to everyone else. A threat, I guess, would be the better way. You're a threat to everyone else. Yeah.
It's kind of blunt, isn't it? This is what happens on Friday afternoon when Evan doesn't get enough sleep.
I'm not far behind.
Right.
No, I'm with you. I think it's, well, and how many times do you hear like family members say things and you're just like, are you kidding me?
Right.
And I can only imagine they're hearing us rant all the time and they still say these things. What the other people that don't, the majority of the population that doesn't hear these things is completely oblivious.
Right.
Yeah.
When I get the fact that you're not, so when I talk to a family member, I get the fact that they don't do information security.
Right.
They're not as educated about security as I would be. Just like I'm not not as educated about dentistry as a dentist is. But I do know that if I don't brush my teeth, that I'm going to have problems.
Right. I think they should know to ask.
Right.
It's like you did what.
And
You've asked me questions before. If you thought this, why wouldn't you ask?
Right. And I know that if the dentist tells me, hey, Evan, you need to floss. If you don't floss, you're going to get gum disease. Okay. I will floss. If I take gum disease seriously, I will floss.
Right.
Now, if you ask me, do I take gum disease seriously? Probably not. But you know what I mean?
Right.
But security is the same way. Like, do you take security seriously? Do you care? Yes. Right. Then do this thing.
Yeah.
Then brush your teeth.
Yeah. Basics, the fundamentals.
And if you don't care, then
all right. Well, then
we should just take all your teeth.
There you go.
Kick in all your teeth.
I'm giving everyone who does an email a flip phone.
Well, right.
Right. Just all right. Go back to the old. You don't get a smartphone that could actually do something.
Yeah, because I have a lot more tolerance for somebody who, has never been told. They've never been told that they need to patch their computer. I get it. That's my job to teach you that.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking like I have, like my mother-in-law. Mm-hmm. She's up there in age. She doesn't understand. Oh, patch my computer. How do I do that? Well, let me show you how to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'll turn on automatic updates and things like that. So, I mean, I understand that people are just that they're not aware of certain things.
There's a certain population.
Yeah. But if you've heard this whole rant about the fact that you need to get involved and ask your city and county about ransomware, if you've heard that and you choose not to do anything about it, that's what I'm complaining about.
Yeah.
I'm not complaining about you're not a computer security expert or, stuff like that.
Right. No, you're right. That's a good point. Yeah. But to some extent, I don't know. No. I still feel like how do you not have heard these things and ask a question?
Yeah. I don't know. Well, and part of that's my job to reach out, like this mayor, somebody in information security somewhere. If in fact what he says is true, we missed him.
Yeah.
We didn't reach him somehow, and that which is all the point. A lot of this stuff is all the point for the second book too, which I am now working on heavily again. Which is what are the things that I need to do to help. And it is going to be
There's
blunt.
A lot.
Well, it's going to be blunt like this, right? I mean, either you're going to take this seriously or not.
Well, and I think if you candy coat it, sugarcoat it, however you want to put it, the message gets lost.
It does.
Right? You have to, there's a certain, right? Who is it? Was it Mike Tyson? You never know how you're going to react to get punched in the face. Right. Or whoever that was. It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I think I'm secure. Well, we're going to find out.
Well, yeah, but then the sad thing too, and that this is part of the book is just the safety components and the privacy components. I mean, when you get punched in the face, that black eye is never going to heal.
Right. Well, did you think who was it? The video camera that when they were supposedly wiping it and reselling it, the previous owners could see the new owner's camera, what the feed was. That's right? Like. Sad. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily a computer. It's not necessarily these other things. It's every component that's connected is a risk.
All right. So the call to action, again, email your city, email your county, ask them about ransomware. If you have no idea how to answer any questions or any replies that you get back, email them to us and we will help you. UNSECURITY at protonmail.com. The other things, I mean, there's plenty of other things for us to do in terms of keeping ourselves secure, but start there.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have more stuff in future podcasts where we can rip on you some more.
I like it.
Even though we're not trying to rip on you, truly we're trying to motivate you. We're trying to.
I think it's
to get you to.
It's frustration to see people just continually complain without doing anything.
Exactly.
Right? Just do something. 5 minutes. Find your email. Find
1
the
minute.
email.
It took you a minute.
Well, I'm just skilled. That's true. You are highly skilled. You are a professional.
Right. Look it up. I am a professional. No.
You are. Yeah.
No, but yeah, even just say 5 minutes out of your day, look up who your contact is, whoever you need to email, copy the format.
Yeah, and again, if you don't know where it is, Evan Francine, EvanFrancen.com. Go to blog, and you'll find it there.
Call to action. Do something.
Yeah, please.
Just take 5 minutes to do it.
Yeah. All right, good talk. Well, another thing, too, one of our loyal listeners who, I just love when he sends us messages is Jason Dance. I didn't get his approval to use his name, but I have now used his name.
Wow.
But I think it's fine. He points out that the same thing applies at schools. So if you start with city or in county, but once you start kind of getting comfortable, ask the schools the same thing. Ask anybody, any public entity.
And here's
really
what's scary:
answers to this,
especially K through 12 or even higher ed. FERPA does not have a mandatory disclosure requirement. So you may never even know that your student, your kids.
I know, isn't that crazy?
Information was leaked, and they have Social Security, medical, they have everything, and there's no requirement to alert.
It's nuts. So the same things apply at the schools. That's what Jason tells us, and it's true. Other things, he says, I thought these were great suggestions. He said, if you don't get answers, other than if you don't, and you don't want to keep emailing, he says, ask during a town or city meeting.
That'll make people uncomfortable.
But
I like it.
Yeah, I like it too. That would take you to get out of your shell a little bit more and be a little bit more committed to the cause. If you want me to go, if you live in this area and you aren't getting a response back and you want to drop me a line, I'll show up at a meeting with you. I think it'd be fun.
Yeah. That'll make other people uncomfortable.
Well, but the point is,
you're asking. No, I'm with you though.
Yeah,
you have to.
I just want to help, honestly. Right. It's not to point out and expose you as being some kind of crappy IT manager at some city. Yeah, that's not the point. The point is, what can I do to help?
Yeah, and we do get that a lot too. People think we're trying to expose them or call them out. No, it's the same as if an employee clicks on spam or a phishing email. It's education. It's never. You should never shame. Right?
Yeah, the only people I'm shaming are the people that hear this message are not doing anything.
Right, but from the other side, the the normal people, right?
Exactly.
Educate them. Don't shame, right? If you punish, it's just they'll quit responding. They'll shut down. And then it's, negative. It's opposite of what you want.
Yeah, good point. Other things, he says, if you don't get an answer, is file an FOIL. Is that a Freedom of Information?
It should be A.
Well, right? He had FOIL there. So
Freedom of Information.
I just copied it.
I don't know. It was the Freedom of Information Act, so maybe it's letter.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But file one of those for specific information. If you don't know how to do that, email us that too. I'll go find out how. I don't know how to do that. I've never done it.
We'll ask Jason.
Yeah. And he says, ask by Facebook, Twitter, or other social media, because that would be a public request. Right. So it'd be interesting to see.
It's harder for them to ignore.
Mm-hmm. So awesome advice. Thank you, Jason. But we really have to get our crap together, honestly. The pain will get worse. It really will.
Yeah.
So now for some news, just two quick stories today. First was, this broke the last, 24, 48 hours, was ex-Equifax CIO gets 4 months in prison for insider trading. The article I chose, this is kind of all over the news, but the one I chose was the Bank Info Security story, titled the same thing. Ex-Equifax CIO gets 4-month prison term for insider trading. What do you think? Jun Ying, 44. Worked as the CIO.
I guess it's. I don't. This is going to sound wrong, but it's progress, right? So he knew about the breach and profited off of it, and now there is a punishment, but it was for insider trading for profiting, not for overseeing a breach.
Yeah.
Right. So if he hadn't done the insider trading, there's nothing.
Right. Well, other than probably would have lost his job.
Well, but how long is it going to take him to find somewhere else or get a golden parachute? He doesn't need one.
True.
We see that how many times?
Well, and this is a touchy subject. We'll have to make this maybe a podcast, future one, and maybe one for you is,
maybe get Jim Nash in here, our state representative, and discuss criminal, because there's been a couple of bills, I think, that haven't made it out of committee where they want to hold C-level executives criminally responsible for breaches. I think that'd be a great discussion.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's a really fine line.
Yeah, because I'm very much against that, but I'm fine with having the discussion with somebody who might be for it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure how do you... Yeah, that's a whole nother discussion.
Right.
Because, yeah.
So, Mr. Ying, 4 months in prison, whatever, probably not a big deal.
I will say this. I would prefer not to ever spend 4 months in prison regardless, but you're right. In the scheme of it, not a whole lot.
And it's probably one of those white-collar prisons where you kind of get everything. It's like
I'm still going to go with not fun.
Yeah, probably. $117,000 in restitution, fined $55,000, pled guilty, did not go to trial. The charges were that he had insider knowledge of the breach, traded stocks on that knowledge prior to it becoming public, which then makes it insider trading, and he gets in trouble for it. So Equifax will, I think anything, that was such an impactful breach, you'll have people talking about anything that falls out from that.
Yeah.
Speaking of Equifax, if any listener knows Susan Molden, what happened to her? She was the CISO.
Oh, yeah.
She was the CISO at the time of the breach. Well, she took so much flack because of the fact that she had a music degree, which I thought was just BS because...
Who cares?
Exactly. But she sort of fell off the face of the earth as far as I can tell. So if you know where she is, let us know. I think that'd be interesting. It'd be cool. Yeah, no, another thing. I'm going down rabbit holes.
I know. It's easy to do.
All right. So the next news is cybersecurity professionals are outgunned and burned out. This comes from HelpNet Security, and that's the title. Cybersecurity professionals are outgunned and burned out. Nearly half, 48% of cybersecurity leaders across France, Germany, and the UK believe their teams are falling behind in the skills race. This is a study according to Symantec.
I mean, we've hired people here who came from that who were utterly burned out. And it, not it sounds bragging, but because you and I have both been in that same position, everyone in leadership has been in that position. Yeah. We're very protective of that. And it's like they come here and it's like a breath of fresh air, but we see it all the time.
Well, you know how concerned we all are for each other, right? I mean, you were telling me.
I think I had like 4 people go, "Are you all right?"
Well, yeah.
Yes, I'll be fine. But yes, thank you. I appreciate it.
We need to support each other, because I know you've worked 90 hours this week. And I want to know, how long is that going to last? Because you need to get back to your happy spot.
Right.
You, your wife, your family need that. So we can't keep you there long.
And it's absolutely appreciated too. Right? And I think that's why we have, our turnover is like single digits.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason for that in this industry that's unheard of.
Right now we say, I have potty mouth. I think it's Friday, but we have no dickheads here.
Right.
No, not a single one.
Yeah.
I love it, man. It's so cool. Every place I've ever worked.
That's the biggest issue we have is making sure people don't work too hard.
Right. Every place I've ever worked, there's been dickheads. At least some.
Mm-hmm.
Here, none. So it's good. So anyway, here, the story is nearly 2/3 of cybersecurity professionals considering quitting their jobs or leaving the industry entirely.
Which is terrifying when we're already facing a shortage.
My God. Well, and it's the other sad thing about it is they're leaving because we're not doing it right.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they're fighting, banging head against the wall because they're not getting buy-in. They're not getting funding to do the right things. They're not getting the buy-in from the organization.
We totally need to support each other.
Mm-hmm.
Management, if anybody is listening who's from management, support your security people. Give them love, man. Inquire about how many hours they're working. Make sure that they're being healthy. If they need training, get them training. Don't set unrealistic expectations. Champion security.
Right.
CEOs who don't champion security shouldn't have security. You have to champion it. You have to lead it.
Right. Yeah. And if not, and you don't do it, odds are we'll be talking about you on the podcast in a story at some point here.
Yeah, that's the truth, man. So it's sad. It's sad because I think a lot of these people probably have really, really good skill sets. I think a lot of these people are good people, but we're beating them up.
Mm-hmm.
That breaks my heart because this is a great industry. We have great people who work in this industry. There's so many awesome people in this industry. And, we need more awesome people, man.
Yeah. Yeah. We need, gosh, we're facing a shortage. If these people start leaving, how do you can't fill that drain.
No.
Right? Because the only way you get good is experience.
That's true.
And time. So.
Yeah. Every time you have like a 20-year security professional who leaves, that's such a vacuum. It's so hard to fill that.
Well, even 10 or 15 even, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, you just can't build that skill set.
No, it takes time, man.
Yeah.
So anyway, those are the two news things. It seems like I'm leaving us on a downer, but I'm not. It's Friday. We got the weekend. The 4th of July is
next
coming.
Week.
We got vacation.
I won't be in the office at all, so that's good.
Yeah. So if we just bury our heads in the sand,
after we just talk about how great it is, we're like, no, we won't be here at all. It's gonna be fantastic.
Right. We got to have vacations. That's healthy. Yeah. But so if we just bury our head in the sand for the next week, like everybody else, we'll be fine.
There you go. Sounds good. No. I'm just turning off everything.
No, that's not a bad idea. All right. So that's how it is. Thanks again to our listeners. And thank you, Brad, the wise. That was wisdom, my friend.
Thank you.
Hope you have a wonderful week and a safe 4th of July. God bless America, honestly. Don't forget, you can follow me or Brad on Twitter. I'm at Evan Francine. That's me. Brad's at Brad and I.
Yeah.
Email us on the show at unsecurity@protonmail.com. If you want, because that's what all the cool kids are doing.
Absolutely is.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Unsecurity Podcast. We value our listeners and would love to hear from you. Give us your feedback by emailing us at unsecurity@protonmail.com. That's unsecurity@protonmail.com. Be sure to tune in next week to hear the latest insights from Brad and Evan.